The buzz around AI is, well, it's everywhere, right? It is constant. But for businesses, all that noise boils down to one simple question. Beyond all the hype, what's the reality of actually making AI work? Okay, let's dive right in.
The promise? It's enormous. A staggering 90% of executives believe that by 2027, AI agents are going to completely transform how their businesses operate. They see this future of autonomous, intelligent operations. But how do we get from here to there?
Well, the key to that future is a concept called agentic AI. And no, this isn't just another buzzword. It's a fundamental shift, moving from automating simple little tasks to automating entire complex workflows.
So, what's the big deal here? An agentic AI doesn't just sit around waiting for your next command. You give it a goal, something like, hey, reduce our supply chain costs by 15%, and then it figures out the steps, it uses the right tools, and it adapts its strategy to get there, all on its own. It's all about the outcome, not just following instructions. This right here is the core distinction, and it's so important. An AI assistant is kind of like a brilliant intern. You tell it what to do, it does it. Simple. But an AI agent, that's like an experienced project manager. It owns the goal. It drives the result. So put it this way. Assistants help you, but agents work for you. And this really shows us that new partnership in action. Just imagine AI agents handling all the nitty-gritty details of sales forecasting, or fraud detection, or even inventory management. What does that do? It frees up your best people to focus on the big picture stuff, strategy, innovation, and handling those really complex, tricky exceptions. It's a seriously powerful synergy.
Okay, so that's the exciting promise. It sounds amazing. But if this future is supposedly right around the corner, why does it feel so far away for so many companies? Let's get real about the challenges.
This really is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? Why is the gap between the promise of AI and the profitable reality so incredibly wide?
Well, this number is a big part of the answer. A recent MIT report dropped an absolute bombshell. 95% of generative AI pilot projects are failing to deliver. 95%. That is a massive, massive disconnect between all the investment and the actual impact.
And here's the crucial point. It's not actually the AI that's failing. It's that businesses are trying to plug this revolutionary new technology into old ways of working. As you can see here, the biggest challenges are organizational. It's about getting the culture, the governance, the workflow design, and the data strategy right before you can even think about succeeding.
And when you dig into those organizational hurdles, they really boil down to two massive challenges every single company has to solve. One, how to make AI profitable, and two, how to keep your data private.
All right, let's start with the bottom line. Literally, getting a clear return on investment, or ROI, is incredibly difficult. Right now, only about 29% of executives say they can measure the ROI of their AI projects with any real confidence. That's not a great number. Part of the problem is that AI's value really comes in two different flavors, which you can see broken down here. You've got your hard ROI. That's the direct, easy-to-measure stuff like cost savings. But then you have this soft ROI, the indirect benefits like happier employees or better decision-making. The companies that are really winning here, they don't just chase the easy numbers. They strategically invest in that soft ROI that builds long-term value and gives them a real competitive edge.
Okay, now for the second hurdle, and believe me, it's a big one: privacy. See, AI doesn't just use data. It creates entirely new kinds of privacy risks that most companies are completely unprepared for.
And we're not talking about your standard data threats here. This is sophisticated stuff. We're talking about attacks where people can ask an AI clever questions to figure out if your private health data was used to train it. Or even crazier, they can algorithmically reconstruct the actual faces from a facial recognition database. The whole idea of anonymity as we know it, it's just eroding. And the stakes here are incredibly high. According to a recent IBM report, the average cost of a single data breach is now $4.4 million. That is a price very few companies can afford to pay.
And this is not some hypothetical risk in the future. It's happening now. Regulators are already handing out massive fines. LinkedIn got hit with a €310 million fine for how its AI profiled users. Clearview AI was fined over €30 million for scraping images to build its tech. The message from regulators is crystal clear. Get this wrong, and it is going to cost you. Big time.
So, faced with all these hurdles, how can a business possibly move forward? Well,
The good news is there's a playbook for doing this responsibly and, more importantly, successfully. Let's break it down.
It really boils down to 3 key steps. First, you have to change how you think. Manage the results, not the process. This directly tackles that ROI problem we talked about. Second, you have to build security and governance in from day one, not as some afterthought. That's the only way to defend against those scary new privacy threats. And third, be smart about getting help. Combine your own experts with outside partners to get moving faster and avoid reinventing the wheel.
But even with a solid playbook like that, there's this really fascinating, almost counterintuitive idea from NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang. He's suggesting that in these early days, maybe obsessing over immediate ROI is the totally wrong approach.
And this leaves us with a really powerful final thought to chew on. What if the true path to making AI profitable isn't through rigid business cases and spreadsheets, but just through plain old curiosity? What if it's about creating a safe space for broad, messy experimentation just to see what's possible? Could that actually be the real key to unlocking the whole promise of AI?